Welcome, seniors. This is day 6 of Unit 4, Measuring the Economy. We're taking a closer look at unemployment today. Quick announcement before we get into that is that the first quarter GDP numbers were released today, and as you can see here in the screenshots of that press release, GDP increased at a rate of 2.3%, and so now you should know what that number means, whether that is good or bad, what that tells us about the economy. Our big question for today, limitations and exceptions behind the unemployment numbers. We'll summarize some of those limitations, explain the effect of education on the possibility of unemployment, and then we'll summarize unemployment and earning potential for a career that you are interested in. Ties in with our standard, and our next key terms quiz is on May 4th. These are the key terms we've been working with, and we'll take a closer look at 7, 8, and 9 today. Again, keep the big picture in mind. Economists are like doctors who are taking tests, performing a lot of tests on the economy, and then we get these economic indicators, these statistics back about GDP, unemployment, inflation, and we're able to tell whether the economy is healthy or not. The homework, we went over the homework in class. You can access the answer key on Schoology. I've uploaded it. And then for the do now, full economy, or full employment is the same as the natural rate of unemployment, and that is going to include seasonal, frictional, instructional. These are always going to exist. They are natural forms of unemployment. Seasons change, people have the freedom to choose jobs, and then the economy should always be growing and changing, and people will have opportunities to expand their human capital and to develop new skills. Unemployment caused by a recession we call cyclical unemployment, and that's the one that is bad that we try to eliminate. And number 3 is letter B, frictional unemployment. For the calculations for unemployment rates, labor force is 3.5 unemployed plus our 36 employed, gives us 39.5. The unemployment rate then would be 3.5 divided by 39.5, 8.7%. And that is unhealthy because it's higher than the 4 to 6% natural rate of unemployment. The last one was more of a challenge problem. The number of employed workers is going to be your adult population minus your people not in the labor force, minus the unemployed workers. We don't also subtract 3 because those discouraged workers are included in the people not in the labor force in that 35 million. And so we come up with 73.5 that are working. We add that to our 6.5 unemployed to get our labor force, and then we can divide and get 8.1. And that is, again, high outside of the 4 to 6 range. So a couple notes as we look at summarizing limitations of the unemployment rate. People who give up looking for a job, we call those discouraged workers. They're not included. People that earn money illegally would be part of the underground economy. They are not included in the unemployment rate. And then we talked about many of these people yesterday. And so the big idea here is that if we include people that are discouraged, people that are part of the underground economy as unemployed, that unemployment rate would go way up. And so here's some limitations of that rate. Let's take a closer look at discouraged workers. Someone who wants a job but has given up looking for work. This is data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showing the percentage of discouraged workers, numbers of discouraged workers in thousands. So going back from 1994 up to 2017, we can see that we have roughly 500,000 or 500,000 discouraged workers, so people that have given up. And so remember that if we include these on the unemployment rate, it's going to go up. We also have what's called marginally attached. Now, your book didn't go over this, but I think you'll find it interesting as well. These people are not discouraged, but they have actively looked for work in the past 12 months. Not in the past 4 weeks, but in the past 12 months they have looked, and so they're considered marginally attached. And we have over 1.5 million marginally attached workers. They want work, but they're not in the labor force either. So if we include both of these groups in the official unemployment rate, it's only going to increase. So these are limitations of that unemployment rate. We also have involuntary part-time workers. They're working part-time when full-time work is desired, or they are not matched up perfectly for with their particular skills in a particular career. So they're part-time workers. They're not satisfied workers, and here we see the percentage of part-time workers as a total of employed workers, and we see it was around 18% this past year. So 18 out of every 100 workers are part-time workers who would be, they are underemployed. They would work more if they could work more. So again, our unemployment rate would increase further if we included those workers. And so let's take a closer look at that. These are all different ways in which we measure unemployment. The official one is the U3 unemployment rate. That's the one that is released, that we hear in the news. It's the one that people defer to when they talk about the unemployment rate, is the U3. And you can see right now it's about 4.1% for this last year. But take a closer look here at this red line, which is slightly above the black line. That includes the people who are unemployed plus your discouraged workers, the people that have given up looking for work. So you can see the unemployment rate would go up a little bit. It would also go up if we included the people who are marginally attached, who have looked for work in the past 12 months, but who are not yet considered discouraged workers, and who didn't look for work in the past 4 weeks. So our unemployment rate would go up even further. And then notice with U6, the people that are underemployed, they are involuntary part-time workers. The unemployment rate nearly doubles when we include them in the unemployment rate. So critics will argue that the U6 line is a better indication of the real unemployment rate in the U.S., even though the one that is published is the U3. The U1 and U2 are more narrow definitions of unemployment. Taking a closer look at this period in the Great Recession from about 2008 to 2010, we had an unemployment rate go from under 6% up to 10.2% at the peak. And then it went back down to 5.1%, and now it's at 4.1% this year. And so on the surface, this looks good, but there's something that this is not telling us. It doesn't tell us about the discouraged, marginally attached, underemployed workers, and it doesn't tell us about differences in educational attainment for those people that are unemployed. And so we can look at that as well. This graph shows unemployment rates for people 25 years and older by educational attainment. And so if you do not graduate from Cristo Rey Jesuit High School, and if it was the middle of the Great Recession, your chance of being unemployed was just under 16%. But if you get a high school degree, your chance of being unemployed went down by about 4 points. And then if you get at least a 2-year degree or some college, it drops even further. And then if you graduate from college, your chance of being unemployed is about 5%. The national average was about 10.2%. Your chance of being unemployed during a recession is cut in half. That means you have a much better chance of getting a job and keeping a job with the more education that you have. So we're looking at explaining the effect of education on the possibility of unemployment. I am much less likely to be unemployed if I get more education. So that's my plug for you guys to finish your high school degree and then to get your college degree. The homework assignment is to do some web search on unemployment and education. If you follow the directions on the handout, it will lead you through everything that you need to know and personalize it. You're going to have an opportunity to research a career that you are interested in and then look at some economic data on that. So I encourage you to do so. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you on Monday.